This 49ers defensive coordinator search has gotten really weird, really quick, and I don't think it's going to get resolved anytime soon. Welcome in. This is The Seth Floyd Show. I'm your host, Seth Floyd Hansen. We talk about 49ers football here mostly. If this is your first time, welcome. Please hit that subscribe button to the channel. When I hit record, we were at 251 subscribers, which is incredible. We started this channel in the middle of June, I think, and we're up to 251. The goal would be to hit 500 by the time next football season starts. So we have about 9 months till football season. That would be incredible. Guys, if you're here, please just hit subscribe. You do me a huge solid. What is going on with this defense coordinator search? I've commented on it a little bit, but in the last day, things have gotten really weird, really quick. Okay. We all know that we want Robert Saleh. Okay, I'm gonna give you a timeline of everything that's been going on if you're not caught up, okay? We all know we want Robert Saleh. 49ers fan base, up in arms because they want Robert Saleh, but they want Kyle Shanahan to interview a bunch of other candidates. And it really feels like they've put all their eggs into one basket. Meanwhile, while we're waiting to see if Robert Saleh is gonna get a head coaching job, most likely with the Jaguars, though he interviewed with the Raiders and the Cowboys as well, guys like Jeff Ulbrich have been hired away. And Lou, I can't say his last name, the Bengals defensive coordinator, he got hired away. So Ulbrich to the, Ulbrich went to the Falcons and Lou went to the Colts, I believe. Okay, and then there's rumors of Dennis Allen being linked to Ben Johnson, who now is the head coach for the Bears. On top of all this, 49er fans are freaking out that if Robert Saleh gets hired away, that it's going to be Brandon Staley as the new defensive coordinator. I'm going to comment on that here in a minute. But here's the timeline. Robert Saleh been interviewed, linked to the Jaguars, and there's reports that have come out that Robert Saleh was the leading candidate. And then yesterday, there was reports that Liam Cohen, the Buccaneers offensive coordinator, was the leading candidate. And there was a beat writer for the Buccaneers who said the Buccaneers organization is preparing for Liam Cohen to be offered the head coaching job at the Jaguars and for him to take it and him to accept it. So 49er fans relaxed across the nation, assuming, okay, if Saleh doesn't get the Jaguars job, he's for sure going to be the Niners defensive coordinator. And then today, it's reported Liam Cohen took his name out of the running, basically said, I'm not interested, not interested. And so once again, 49er fans, their anxiety levels are through the roof because they're terrified to have Brandon Staley as their defensive coordinator. Everyone knows that Ben Johnson wasn't interested and now Liam Cohen took his name out of the running because of Trent Baalke. They're probably not a huge fan of the owner either, who's looked at as like a buffoon who doesn't know what he's doing, at least when it comes to football and how to hire people and build a good organization. But they know that it's Trent Baalke, the GM, who was still there, is what's scaring everyone off. And then, a few hours after Liam Cohen said, I'm taking my name out of the running, it was reported that Trent Baalke was fired. And so what does this mean? Well, as like David Lombardi, no, it wasn't Lombardi talking about it. He was talking about it, but Brad Graham, the SF Niners, okay, he's talking about it. He makes a good point. He's like, I don't think that's a good thing for 49er fans because you could have seen Robert Saleh say, no, I'm not working for Baalke either. I'm taking my name out of the running. But now that he's gone, maybe Saleh will be interested in that job. And then the last thing, as 49er fans, again, anxiety through the roof, feeling depressed. They feel like Brandon Staley is going to be the guy. There is reports that the 49ers have been talking about maybe Pete Carroll as defensive coordinator for the 49ers. That talk has happened internally in the building. Oh man, that was a mouthful. So what does all this mean? Okay, well, here's a couple things, okay? Even one other thing I didn't mention is a little later tonight, there was a report that from Michael Silver, who I trust, okay? Mike Silver feels like he's right about everything when he drops little nuggets. He said that the belief around the league is there are way more candidates than just Robert Saleh, and I'm blanking on the defense coordinator for the Raiders, that those were the two guys that were kind of the leading candidates. Well, now it says, Michael Silver said, most of the league thinks that there's way more candidates, including Joe Brady and Kellen Moore, both who are in the conference championship games this weekend, so you can't do anything with them until this weekend's over. Regardless, here's what I think. I think there's a good chance Saleh is still the head coach, still going to be the defensive coordinator for the 49ers. It doesn't make sense to me Now, Shad Khan doesn't know what he's doing, apparently. He's head coach after head coach after head coach, but it doesn't make any sense for him to be the head coach. You need someone to come in and fix Trevor Lawrence and salvage this investment that you've made that has had pretty bad returns for the most part in Trevor Lawrence. Okay, you just paid him all this money. He's making $55 million a year. Like, get something out of him. Robert Saleh can't help you with that. He's a defensive-minded coach. He's a culture builder. Might call the defense, but he's an energy culture guy. Can't do anything for your quarterback. Now, he could hire a good offensive coordinator, maybe, but a perfect scenario would have been Ben Johnson. Another good one would have been Liam Cohen, who has gotten fantastic results out of Baker Mayfield. Okay, I think they're still going to look Kellen Moore, Joe Brady, and it makes more sense now that Trent Baalke's gone that they'll be able to make that happen. Okay. So I haven't given up any hope on that, but you never know. Might wake up in the morning. By the time you watch this, maybe Saleh has been named the Jaguars head coach. I don't know. The next thing I want to say, though, is Brandon Staley. Now, I think 49er fans need to chill out, okay? I, for one, I'm not jumping for joy. I do not necessarily want Brandon Staley as the defensive coordinator. I think there are much better candidates out there, still some that haven't been hired. Gus Bradley, Matt Eberflus, I would take both of those dudes over Brandon Staley. However, guys, like Brandon Staley, I know was a train wreck with the Chargers, but he was the head coach there. Okay, it is so different being the head coach versus just being a coordinator. We have seen plenty of guys be great coordinators, go to be a head coach, really struggle, come back to being a coordinator, and do really, really well. The biggest one that comes to mind right now, because I think he might be the best defense coordinator in the league, is Steve Spagnuolo. Okay, fantastic coordinator. Okay, really struggled as a head coach for the Rams. Okay, fantastic coordinator. Okay, I'm shocked he's not getting another shot at a head coaching job, though he did interview with the Raiders, I think. Steve Spagnuolo, Dennis Allen. But a lot of people want Dennis Allen as the Niners defense coordinator. I would be all for Dennis Allen being the coordinator. He hasn't been hired by Ben Johnson yet, so I hope Kyle Shanahan's on the phone with him. Like, look, we thought Robert Saleh wasn't going to get a head coaching job. Looks like he will now. Will you please come interview? I think Dennis Allen would be great, but he's been awful as a head coach, but has had really strong defenses. When Brandon Staley, I know he's only had 1 year as a defensive coordinator, and that was with the Rams in 2020. But they were the number one defense in the league. I get that it was the COVID year. I get that there was some outlying, some weird things. But everyone went through the same, they were all in the same situation that Brandon Staley was, and Brandon Staley, his defense was great. You can't take that away. His defense was better than Spagnuolo's that year. His defense was better than, I'm trying to remember who hot defensive coordinators' names in those days. It was better than Robert Saleh's defense that year. I know they had a ton of injuries, but you get my point. I'm just saying, I'm open to the possibility that he could be a really good defensive coordinator and just a terrible head coach. When you're a head coach, there is so much you have to think about. You have to think about culture. You have to manage all these other coaches. You have to go through the game plans. You have to be the tone setter. I don't think Brandon Staley is the tone setter that a whole football team needs. But schematically, he did really well on defense. Now, Chargers defense was not great when he was there. I get that. And I have some concerns. I am in no way telling you that Staley is a slam dunk. But what I'm saying is I'm open to the possibility that he could be good. That maybe you'd get similar production to what you saw from the Rams defense in 2020. You could get that. If you have a good personnel, if you hit on draft picks, maybe sign a guy or two, now you're rocking and rolling. I don't know. But I hate when people are just like automatic, this is terrible, it's going to be a train wreck. They have no idea what they're doing. He can't possibly succeed. Well, he's already succeeded. Like, he got a head coaching job for a reason. And I don't know if he'll return to his 2020 form, but stop telling me something's a for sure thing, because nothing's a for sure thing. Nothing's a for sure thing. It's crazy. Andy Reid can't ever win a Super Bowl. That's all you heard forever. And guess what? Goes to the Chiefs. I know he gets Pat Mahomes, but wins multiple Super Bowls. One of the greatest head coaches of all time now. Okay? Peyton Manning never won the big one, and then he wins 2 Super Bowls in his career. Okay? It's just, you can't tell me something can't happen or won't happen, because you don't know. You're just mad. You're just mad because the guy you wanted didn't get hired. And I want Saleh too, but let's talk ourselves off the ledge here, because there's a real chance Brandon Staley would be good. You might just get out there and be like, oh, like, he's pretty good. Maybe they're not the number one defense, but maybe they're like a top 10 defense. You're like, oh man, this is like way better than 2024 with Nick Sorensen. So I'm just telling you guys, chill out. Talk yourself off a ledge. Anybody who is like definitive, no, he's going to be terrible. Or no, Shanahan can't win a Super Bowl. Or no, so-and-so, Brandon Staley sucks. Like, okay, I just immediately downplay your opinion about sports and stop listening to you, because you got to take an open-minded approach. Anything can happen. None of us really know what's going to happen. We're just hoping for the best. Okay? With that, I don't think Brandon Staley is the lock to be hired if Robert Saleh gets hired away. I think the fact that the reports, and again, I trust Mike Silver. Okay? Oh, excuse me. It wasn't Mike Silver. This was Tim Kawakami. I trust Tim Kawakami along with Mike Silver. Those two are very plugged in with his information. I don't think it's bad information. If he says the Niners have talked and spoken internally about possibly hiring Pete Carroll, that to me says they're obviously like no one's trying to hire Brandon Staley right now. And for those of you who don't want Brandon Staley, that's your best argument. Why is no one else interviewing him? Great argument. That's a good argument. That's a great question to ask, and I don't know the answer. Okay, that doesn't mean he'd automatically be bad, but it is something to ask yourself. Okay, so if they were like, look, it's either Saleh or Staley, they wouldn't be having internal conversations about other coaches. I don't believe. I think that Kyle Shanahan really did not think Robert Saleh would get hired this cycle. And yes, that's a mistake on his part to put all his eggs in one basket. He should have been interviewing guys. I don't know. My guess is there has been dialogue behind the scenes, even though they have not publicly interviewed or put out these interviews or whatever. I'm sure he's been on the horn talking to different guys, trying to gauge their interest in the 49ers job. But they haven't publicly or formally interviewed anyone yet because they're trying to prove to Robert Saleh that he's their number one guy. I don't know. But my guess is they will ramp that up as it gets closer to Saleh getting hired to the Jags job, if he does. Okay, even if it's not Pete Carroll, I imagine they're going to have talks with other guys. Gus Bradley still out there, Matt Eberflus, Dennis Allen, those guys. Maybe someone, who's not a defense coordinator right now, or maybe it's someone who is a position coach. Whatever. I will say this: like Pete Carroll, I would probably be all right with it. He wouldn't be my first choice, but if Pete Carroll ended up as the 49ers DC, it would be. Like, he's a very good football mind. He also is a player's coach. Players love him. I know that, like, in Seattle, the seasons didn't go as well as they wanted, but they were still good. Like, I think they only missed the playoffs one time in the last, 6 or 7 years with Pete Carroll. Maybe it was more. Maybe it was 2, because they didn't make it in that last year either. But the Pete Carroll teams always win. They would always win 8 to 9, 10 games, even at the end with Geno Smith, and things were starting to come apart. Okay, and the message was getting stale. He would still get guys to play hard, fight to the end. He's an energetic coach that the players absolutely love. They love him. And I know he's like 76, but man, his energy he brings on the field is great. His defense, I imagine, would be better if he was just the defensive coordinator. And schematically, like, he knows what he's doing. I think you saw this year with Nick Sorensen, didn't fully know what he was doing. Little bit over his head. That's why they played super basic. He didn't want to get gashed. He didn't want to blitz. And I think ultimately that was kind of the downfall. We never created any kind of pressure. Nothing is too big for Pete. He's won a Super Bowl. I think just having him on staff. I mean, so many people, so many 49er fans complain about Kyle Shanahan. Why wouldn't you want a Pete Carroll in there? A guy who's won a Super Bowl. A guy who owned Shanny for the first little bit before, 2019 until 2020 and whatever. He knows his stuff. He would be a great mentor even to Kyle Shanahan, even if that's not really his role, but he would offer nuggets here and there that would give Kyle something to think about. It would be a fantastic hire from that standpoint, I think. Again, he's probably not my first choice, but I think there's a lot of good, and I would be all for it. Sign me up. I would probably take him over Gus Bradley, I would think, who just got fired from Indianapolis. I mean, maybe Eberflus too. I just think Pete Carroll would be a good fit if he would take that job. I don't know if he would, but he's coached for the 49ers before. He's from San Francisco and went to school there. It would be an interesting situation. This is getting weird. I've said this if you've watched me in previous videos. I've said this offseason, if you can believe it, is going to be more interesting and story-filled and headline-filled and crazy than even last offseason. I did not think the defensive coordinator job was going to be what caused so much headlines already. I just thought right now it would be Brock Purdy, what is the noise? what's going on back and forth, and it would be drama. And then it would be Dre Greenlaw, and then it would be who are we taking in the draft, and then be what free agents are we going to add. And all of a sudden we just have this defensive coordinator drama going on. It's crazy, guys. It's crazy. I don't think this gets resolved before this weekend. Definitely not. I mean, tonight's Wednesday. If the Jaguars are going to interview Kellen Moore and Joe Brady, this definitely isn't getting resolved before this weekend. Unless they tell Robert Saleh, like, hey, we're going to go in a different direction, or Robert Saleh just says, screw it, I don't really want to go there. I'm going to go back. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not going to be resolved anytime soon. So keep hanging on. Hopefully there's more names that come out that they're going to interview and be interested in. No guarantees, but that's kind of what we're watching right now. Thank you again for joining me, guys. I hope you got something out of this video. Talk yourself off the ledge if you're a Brandon Staley hater. I'm not telling you to love the guy. I'm just telling you to open your mind. Like, there's a good chance he would come in and just be fine. He'd be good. Be a big improvement from Nick Sorensen. Okay, it's not a guarantee, but talk yourselves off the ledge. You don't have to be so crazy about it. I'm gonna hit you with more videos coming up this weekend, or possibly beginning of the next week, including a position that I think we are not talking about as 49er fans that desperately needs attention and fix going into 2025 season. We'll hit that next time. Thank you again. If you have not, please subscribe to the channel. Okay, we're trying to get to 500 before next football season. We're at 251 right now. Every subscription counts and helps. You guys are the best. I'm out.